I'd like to welcome everyone to the Emmaus Borough Council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we'll have Personal Appeals Part 1. If you have a personal appeal, please sign in, state your name. You have 5 minutes. State your name and where you're from, and you have 5 minutes for your appeal.
Hi, I'm Naomi Winch. I'm a longtime resident of Emmaus, Pennsylvania. This is my daughter, Olivia. And I've become very passionate about fair districts, and we're asking for an independent citizens commission. I almost said coalition, commission. And I invited Terry to come and talk to us, who knows a whole lot more about this than I do, and can do a good job explaining it for me.
Okay. And just so everyone who is out there for this issue, we did receive everything that you sent to us, and it's loaded in our iPod, so I was able to look at everything. I believe there were 5 different items.
Yeah, and if you're here for fair districts, could you please raise your hand? Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry it's taken me so long. There we go.
Good evening. I appreciate Naomi's invitation and the opportunity during your public comment period to tell you a little bit about what Fair Districts is doing. You have it, hopefully at the front of your packet, a one-page handout. What I did was pick 6 slides out of a longer presentation just to kind of give you the highlights. I'm happy to answer any other questions either during your session or at any time with the idea of hopefully the council will join over 250 other municipalities across the state, both Republican and Democratic majorities, who think this is a really good government initiative. So basically, I'm going to tell you why gerrymandering is a problem. I'm going to kind of skip over the how we got there. We can get into that at some later date if you so choose. And then let you know about how you, as council members and then also the public, can help us solve this problem. So firstly, in terms of gerrymandering impacts, both parties, this is not just a Republican problem, as you've probably gotten the impression in the headlines. That's only because the Republicans control the legislature at this time. Both parties start focusing on control, not on governance. Also, already, the national PACs for both major parties are accumulating millions of dollars to pour into Pennsylvania because we're expected to have to go through reapportionment in 2020. And so all of this outside money has nothing to do with Pennsylvania issues. It's all about controlling the state legislature and the drawing process. So there's going to be millions of dollars thrown in Pennsylvania. Incumbents in both parties get protected. Some people note that the last maps in 2011 that were overturned by the state Supreme Court were bipartisan. Well, some of those Democrats voted for that because it protected their Democratic congresspeople, and so they voted for their self-interest. So saying it's bipartisan in this case is not the same as saying it was fair. Rank and file are beholden to party leaders, not to their constituents. It has been shown and demonstrated that if you don't do what I say, next time the maps are drawn, oh, there's a little squiggle in the map, and you no longer live in your district. And at the state level, you have to live in your district. So rank and file have to listen to the party leaders, not to you as voters. Elections get decided in the primaries, not in the general election, where it tends to come more towards the middle. And this is true for both parties. There's increased polarization and gridlock because of this, and this affects business. Harvard Business School did a study and found that U.S. competitiveness globally has decreased over the last few decades, and one of the factors contributed, obviously it's always complex, one of the factors contributing to this is the gridlock and polarization. The Pennsylvania Economic League did a study about 10 years ago with about 6,000 state regulations that would make it easier for municipalities to be business friendly and eliminate outdated rules and regulations. None of that has changed. 10 years later, they said none of that has happened because of this gridlock that's going on. The next slide that you might see is a nice little RIP gravestone for the poster child for gerrymandering in the U.S. is the 7th Pennsylvania Congressional District that was put to rest, part of the state Supreme Court decision. But please note that the lawsuits that you've been reading about are temporary fixes to fix past mistakes. We're talking about a solution that can get around the problem of either major party gerrymandering. So if we don't change the process, something like Goofy Kicking Donald, so if you want to do something good with your kids or grandkids, have them Google that. They don't go to a Disney website. They come to this map. That's what Google finds for you. So that could be resurrected, Goofy Kicking Donald or some other crazy map, if we don't change the process. The next slide, because I think of particular interest to this council, is why is this a municipal business? The state Supreme Court, let me read this, municipal governing bodies have a duty to protect the health, safety, and welfare of its residents. I think it would be fair to say that the gridlock, as I've said in some of the examples I've given you, hinders the municipality's ability to serve its residents. The Pennsylvania Handbook of Supervisors, the role of municipal government is to act as a voice for their community to the state and federal legislature. So again, we are hoping that this council will, after due diligence, join over 250 municipalities, 18 counties and municipalities, to say to the state legislature, let's get around this partisanship. Let's let an independent citizens commission do it, which, by the way, has been functioning well in 6 other states. Lastly, supervisors swear to uphold the Pennsylvania State Constitution. The Constitution says that when they make districts, they are to chop as few, whoever makes the maps, chop as few counties, municipalities, or split them as few as possible. Politicians have blatantly been disregarding that for decades. And so that's what this independent commission would do. How you could help in your packet for the council is to consider passing this nonpartisan resolution. Fair Districts PA, just as by way of introduction to the Hearst slide, I've been a League of Women Voters member for 30 years and was just so excited when the League decided to take this on. This is a nonpartisan effort. Democrats, Republicans, independents, third-party voters all want to see this happen. The 250 some odd municipalities represent around 50% of Pennsylvanians at this point. And we have about another 100 or so municipalities that are in the works. There's another list of items, and anything past the resolution for those in the audience. You can help us out. Both of your state legislators, Representative Simmons and Senator Boscola, are co-sponsors, so please thank them. It's one thing that anybody can do. But we also learned recently that just because you're co-sponsored does not necessarily mean that you'll vote for the item. The House State Government Committee gutted the Independent Citizens Commission and doubled down with an amendment that would put it in the hands of the majority party, not even any semblance of check or balance. And one of the co-sponsors voted with the party line to gut and replace. And the one last item before I get to the last slide is just to mention, as I mentioned before, Democrats do it too. They did it in Maryland. They were doing it in California until a Citizens Commission went in. So this is not a Democrat or a Republican problem. This is a partisan politician problem. And I think we as voters, Democrats will draw maps that favor Democrats. Republicans will draw maps that favor Republicans. Citizens will draw maps that favor citizens. And the last item, just to mention, is that we're about making fair districts. This is not about making every district competitive. Because of where people live, there are going to be some districts that will be majority Republican. That's okay. Others which will be majority Democrat. That's okay. But we found in other states that districts tend to become more competitive because it's not made so safe. So the legislators actually have to deal with our issues and speak to our concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Did you sign in?
I'll do that right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else with a public appeal?
And I'd be happy to answer any questions that council members might have.
I read the, I think it was 4 or 5 pages of questions, commonly asked questions. That was very helpful.
It is. There's a lot to it. Oh, and if I may, just to mention, while the House has blocked even having hearings on this, Senator Fulmer in the Senate actually has held 2 true, honest public hearings, and tomorrow is planning to actually put on an amendment of how they've kind of modified it, as any good bill would do. You put it in, it goes into committee, they have hearings, they amend it. So Fulmer has worked with his colleagues and with Fair Districts PA. They're going to amend the bill tomorrow. The plan is that they'll offer an amendment to take SB 22 to some amendments that address some concerns of the legislature, which our leadership supports. We didn't have like one bill to do. It was Independent Citizens Commission. And then hopefully it'll get voted out of committee and then passed by the Senate. We're not sure how it's going to work in the House because of the blockage there. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
So I bring this up because it's a little bit abnormal, and I mean, it's a presentation from the public, but it is a topic that may warrant discussion. Do you want to assign that to?
It's going to go to a committee.
Okay.
Yeah, as you know, we don't want to debate it on the floor here.
Yeah, no, that's what I wanted to know. Where are we going with this? I mean, usually we would not address that now. We would put it to a committee so that it can be flushed out and thought out. Okay.
My name is Josh Schmidt. I don't know if this is relevant to this or not, but my concern is with Lions Park. And when I took my 3.5-year-old there yesterday, there was beams that were just gone. I mean, they're gone. So I was curious of when they were going to get fixed, or if they're going to get fixed, or if there's anything I could do to help.
You want to explain where we are with the
What
grant?
what
money,
was
isn't it?
missing?
Well, a lot of things, but there's support beams that are just gone
In the main playground.
at Lions Park. And I'm just curious, is there something that I could do to, I mean, it's been a long time coming, and that's my
Yeah.
son's favorite park, and it's a shame that.
I know. We're working on a planning grant right now to try to do a study so that we can get grant money for construction. Lions Park is probably the largest park that needs a major overhaul. Unfortunately, there are, as you know, some serious equipment issues over there. That equipment in general doesn't meet modern code, so
Right.
really it needs to be torn out, is really what needs to happen.
Yeah, which,
Um,
what I noticed last night was, I mean, it's not only a safety thing, it's kind of like, it's a huge safety thing, a liability, I mean, but, I mean, he likes it, we like going there. So I was saying if there was something that I could do, or,
Well,
no, I mean, I already know the
and-
answer to that,
and-
but if I can
you
help
leave-
out
Can you leave your
somehow.
contact information on the sheet for me? Can you do that for me?
Yes,
And maybe I can have some correspondence with you. I think there are some things that members of the community can do. We can't just go and fix some of it. 'Cause
it
again,
can't be fixed, it's kind of just tear down and
yeah,
rebuild is
It's a
what it.
tear down and rebuild. We've talked about the cost of playground equipment over and over again. Like, I just built something in my backyard that's humongous and cost $5,000. If
Yeah.
I built that size of something on that playground, it would cost us $70,000 because it has to be built of a specific material, a specific grade. It's like the rules change.
Right,
18 inches of,
Of 18 inches mulch. So our guesstimate, and I say guesstimate, is to tear out what needs to be torn out there and replace. We're at probably $70,000. That's why this grant that we're working on for the planning piece is so crucial, because what it does is it gives us the part to be able to do the construction grant.
right.
So the debate is, do we budget funds to try to tear out and replace now while we're going through the process of the study? Or do we just tear out and let it sit until we get the money? That's stuff that these guys are gonna need to contemplate at budget time. public participation in the grant process or in the study is going to be important though, because that, like you said, your kids love that park.
Yeah,
So
the
when
red
we-
park, he calls it, so.
Well,
it's-
right, so when we go through it, your input's gonna be crucial as to what we need to put back in. In reality, we need to go through probably all of our parks and tear out everything that's in that kind of shape. The hesitation has always been, we tear it out, how long is it gonna sit with nothing there, right?
And-
But there are some things that I think are imminent safety issues, as you said, that I think we don't have a choice. We need to remove it.
Yeah, but that's my suggestion is I would remove it before you get sued, honestly, but
Maybe have
I would
time
like
to
to
look
see
at it.
something else
Well,
go in there.
I saw a photo from one of our councilmen yesterday that somebody forwarded to him
I
that,
saw your comment, it
that,
was on Facebook, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, I forwarded it to our manager.
yeah, that right out of the gate said, that piece just has to go.
yeah, well, my kid was on the slide and I was like, okay, the glass, okay, I'll pick it up, no big deal. But then I'm just like, yeah, I shouldn't be able to move that.
Right,
You go down once, we're going home. And then I got a 3.5-year-old screaming for 2 blocks. I was like, okay, well,
right.
you know, something's gotta happen here because now my kid's screaming.
I have a
and-
5-year-old and 7-year-old. I know exactly what
Yeah.
you're dealing with. And so, I mean,
And I went there as a kid, so it's kind of like.
and probably played on the same playground. equipment,
Exact
right?
same
Like,
playground.
That's
I
the
mean,
whole point.
It's the same paint.
Except the
Yeah.
merry-go-round's not there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a new one. It goes a heck of a lot slower.
It's not the same.
But that merry-go-round was $5,500.
That's nuts, because it's, to
Right.
me, that's $80 in material. I
Yeah,
mean, that's,
I know, but that's the point.
I get
is-
it, yeah.
Is the requirement to replace is so much more than what it used to be. Like I said, you can build something in your backyard for $5,000 that will cost you 70 to build out on a playground.
Yeah,
So-
that was our conversation last night when I got home. What, do you want to make something for the yard? That's the whole yard.
Yeah, and you don't want to
it's-
do that. I mean,
I really
that's-
don't, I want to walk and go somewhere.
These
you know,
guys,
that's-
and council's cognizant that that's what those parks are there for, and they know that there's a problem. It really comes down to, you know, do we try to replace this stuff now as we're doing the study, or do we wait and see what the study says and get the
hopefully get the
input from the
grant
public?
and-
Try to go for the construction money, because the construction money is 50%. So, you know, if you get a construction grant, it pays for 50% of the project. So if you do a $70,000 project, you're paying 50,000 or 35,000 of local funds, and then 35,000 of grant money. So those are things that we have to have deeper conversations about, but I do agree there's some imminent issues that we need to just go through all the parks and just deal with and take out. I know that we've taken out some of the equipment in some of the parks because of those issues, but there's obviously more. I mean, that's the first thing I said this morning was probably gonna just tear that out for now. And-
Yeah, I mean, that's,
But we will, I think one of your other issues I saw was, you said about mulch, and our public works director will be looking at the parks for, you know, wherever we don't have enough mulch or.
Well, all those
Which-
parks get mulched.
yeah, to me, that was just all of, it's all of the park, the mulch, it doesn't, that's not, it was just kind of like, it's, after the post, I'm like, oh, it's the whole thing's a mess. Can I go in the swing? No, because there's a pool under it, you know? People are like, well, can't kids throw away their trash? No, because there's a moat around the trash can. Like, it's kind of, I was just like, I mean, people litter. I mean, I was in high school before. You know, I threw trash in my yard that I bought, you know, when I was in high school. So it's, I get it, but it's kind of hard when they can't even get to the trash can. Which, I mean, it rained. It is what it is, but
Oh, and you were there on Sunday, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're not running our park kids on the weekend yet. So, I mean, that's part of.
Right. And that's not, I mean, I'm not trying to bash,
Yeah.
you know, that, because it's, I get it. But it was just kind of like, that was more towards like the kids, like, stop. I have trash, I live on 6th and Chestnut. I have every Rita's cup that's bought in my yard, you know, so I get it. You know, I don't chase them down the street. I want to, but I don't. So I get it. But the more to my story was that beam. And I was just curious of when.
Yeah, like I said, I did forward your comments, I saw it, and if you saw, I did comment as well about the grant,
Okay.
in there.
And you come into a council meeting means a lot more to us.
Yeah, I'm not, yeah.
It really does. It means a lot more to us when we hear it from a resident at a council meeting, so we can have a real conversation with you. So I certainly appreciate you coming in and having that conversation with us.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
And just two quick things. One is, just so that it's understood, because oftentimes it is asked, why do you always do these plans? And because plans sound like, well, can't we just go to the park and figure it out ourselves? But the plan is what enables us to get the grant.
Right.
The other part is, you said your son is 3?
Yeah, I hope it's
So
soon.
he'll be considerably older by the time that those things actually get get fixed. Just, I say that in that these things take an immense amount of time.
Yeah.
So
And that's
just so
because of
that
the- that's just
a
because of the
realistic
grant,
perspective.
correct? Right.
It's a grant, yeah, because we could fund it as a borough, or we could fund it through a grant. And I think the
And pay
taxpayers
half.
generally would be happier with it coming from a grant than that, but maybe I'm wrong. And if there's more support from people like yourself coming to it and saying, like, we need to fund the budget specifically, but I have a hunch that will not be the,
So
Push.
just kind of timeline it, you know, when you ask when, we applied for the DCNR grant, which is the study grant through, the state. We applied for that in April. Last year, it was the same grant round. They didn't award the planning grant until December. So you don't even find out for 7 months. And then if we do get it, it's going to take a year or two for the study to finish. I mean,
Right.
that's why he's saying, like, your kids,
It's not gonna happen tomorrow, I get it.
Are you gonna have more kids? Because maybe
Yeah,
the,
yeah, well, the rate is going, yeah, probably, but I don't know.
but it is a bigger conversation of, you know, should they put some money into the budget for next year to do some construction in the meantime? You know, and that's a conversation the council needs to have at budget time.
Okay. Yeah, and if there's anything I can do, even if whatever, I mean, here's my number, my email address,
Yeah.
somehow to help, I don't know.
No, I appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
thank you. Any other appeals? Hearing none? Community minute, anybody have a community minute to bring forward?
I do. The Emmaus Commemorative Gardens Foundation is holding their annual Veterans Brick Installation on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Mayor Gilbert, thank you, you'll be there, I know. It is a beautiful event. We have 16 bricks this year that are being installed for veterans, and there's music, and the Canals Homestead will also be open for an open house. So that will be a lovely afternoon. But also a reminder that the Emmaus Honor Guard starts off the day at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning at Calvary Cemetery, and then they move to all of the other cemeteries in Emmaus. I don't know how many towns have an honor guard. I think we're tremendously fortunate. It is the most touching event to participate in, and there's usually only a handful of people there. So if any of you can come out, anyone with children too, it's a really wonderful, wonderful experience.
Thank you for mentioning that. Unfortunately, I work every other holiday, so that's my holiday to work, and I'm just happy that the mayor will be able to say some words. Next year I can go. Roy?
Yes, we also then, as a reminder, have the Memorial Day Parade, and that'll be on Monday, and it starts, I believe, at 9 a.m. At the high school, and then winds down to the Triangle, There's a great service there, and it's a great way to show your support for our armed forces. So if anyone can be there for that, that would be great.
Thank you. Anybody else? We have no special presentations. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the council meeting minutes of May 7th of 2018? Councilman Barrett, seconded by Councilman Dufresne. Any questions, additions, or corrections? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. We have no decisions on bids. Communications, we received 2 letters with regards to redistricting reforms. Anybody else have a letter of communication to bring forward? No? No borough engineers report, solicitors report.
I have nothing at the moment.
Oh,
I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
thank you. Unfinished business part 1, we have nothing. New business, we have ordinance number 1177. An ordinance amending Chapter 5, Part 6, Section 601 of the Borough's Codified Ordinances to adopt the 2018 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code as amended through the effective date of this ordinance. This is our first reading. Second reading will be in July?
June.
Will it be the second meeting, or the 3rd week in June?
Yeah.
We'll have a second reading in 3rd week in June. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1177? Councilman Schubsta, seconded by Councilman Anders. Any questions or discussion? It's a roll call vote. Councilwoman McManaman?
Aye.
Councilman Schubsta?
Aye.
Councilman Anders?
Aye.
Councilman Barrett?
Aye.
Councilman Dufresne?
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner?
Aye.
Councilman Ladenburg? Aye. There are 7 ayes. We also have ordinance 1178, an ordinance amending Chapter 15, Part 2, traffic regulations of the codified ordinances, adding subsection 15 through 2019, establishing school zones, and this is our first reading, and second reading will also be the third week in June? Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve 1178? Councilman Barrett, second by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Questions? Councilman Anders.
I had one question. I see the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, which is great. Is there any intention to have any type of flashing lights in any of these school zones?
Only if you want to spend $15,000 a sign. We applied for a grant for that a couple years ago. The quote was 15 grand a sign for,
For each sign?
yeah. Yeah, and the reason is because the electric going to it.
Right.
So we even looked at solar, the price wasn't much different.
So even with this ordinance, though, there is an opportunity down in the future.
So all
if
we're
the
doing,
money
and
is-
just to be clear, all we're doing is reestablishing what's already there.
Right.
Yeah, this is nothing new, it's just we're creating a new section, establishing what's already there. And we'll keep after those safety grants.
Okay.
But
That's
we
all I
applied
just
for one a
wanted
couple
to-
years ago, it was Mrs. Gilbert, 144,000 we went after? Was that,
Yes.
that sound right?
Yes.
For all the school zones.
Right.
And,
Didn't. Okay. It was just my thought on it, that's all. Thank you.
yeah, 15,000 a sign, which was really, right, it was
a lot
kind of
of money.
surprising.
Councilman Barrett.
And just for clarification, these didn't all exist.
So most of them did. We extended a couple and not Pine Street,
Macungie Avenue didn't
Macungie
exist.
Avenue did not exist, so we're adding that one.
But I don't think that the one on Harrison did. And
Yeah, it was there.
It was there?
It was there.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
By what, Lincoln?
Yeah, by Lincoln. But it's further extended. I mean, I think that this is great. I also spoke with the school district and asked if they had any concerns about it, and they were very grateful that this was being extended and will be better marked. And I think in August is when we're going to try to push this out, get the new signs that are going to be up, and make it so that before next year's school year, there's a direct impact to remind residents that use those pathways as they head to work or wherever they might be going in the mornings, that school's back in session, and to reinforce the idea of that slow down when the kids
Yeah,
are
and
in
one
these
of our
zones.
issues was signage was very poor.
Yeah,
So we definitely need to, well, it'll be mostly new signage. So hopefully it'll be more vibrant. The blinking lights would be ideal. It's a lot of money though. For a lot of, for a town this size, we have a lot of schools. We have 5 schools in town
do.
that are elementary schools. And the high school, so, yeah.
We used to have more.
Yeah.
Washington, Stevens, Central.
But we were just a town full of schools.
smart people.
One's apartment, one's
Better
torn
than a
down,
town
it's the
full of
high
fools,
rise.
right?
Got another one that's gonna be torn down. So, anybody else? This is also a roll call vote. Councilwoman Baumgartner?
Aye.
Councilman Dufresne?
Aye.
Councilman Barrett?
Aye.
Councilman Anders?
Aye.
Councilman Schubsta?
Aye.
Councilwoman McManaman?
Aye.
Councilman Ladenburg? Aye. There are 7 ayes. Under unfinished business part 2, we have 2 ordinances that will have their second reading also at the third week in June. So we'll have 4 ordinances that night. Items not on the agenda. Anybody have anything to bring forward? Hearing nothing. Mayor's report.
Thank you. I have 2 proclamations to read this evening. The first is Proclamation 218-433, Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service, and whereas the members of the emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care for those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, first responders, educators, administrators, and others, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continue education to enhance their life-saving skills, and whereas it's appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, I, Leanne Gilbert, Mayor of the Borough of UMass, Pennsylvania, proclaim that the week of May 20th through May 26, 2018, be known as Emergency Medical Services Week with the theme EMS Strong, Stronger Together. I encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Done this 21st day of May 2018 in the Borough of UMass, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania. And my second one is Proclamation 2018-435, National Public Works Week. Whereas public work services provide in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives. And whereas the support of and understanding the informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as water, sewers, streets and highways, public buildings, and solid waste collection. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on the facilities and services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, are vitally dependent upon the efforts and skills of public works employees, and whereas the efficiency of the quality and dedicated personnel who staff the Public Works Department is materially influenced by the people's understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Now, therefore, I, Leanne Gilbert, Mayor of the Borough of UMass, Pennsylvania, proclaim that the week of May 20th through May 26, 2018, be known as National Public Works Week, with the theme, The Power of the Public Works. I call upon the citizens, business owners, and visitors of the community to recognize the substantial contributions of the Public Works Department in making a great community for all. Done this 21st day of May, 2018, in the Borough of UMass, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania.
Can you ever repeat that?
Mr. Anders.
I do believe that Saturday, the ambulance has an open house.
Open house.
We did mention that earlier, and I think.
I believe that might be under Mr. Dufresne's committee report
Is it?
at all.
Okay.
I believe it starts at 10 a.m. Is it 10 a.m. or noon?
Just since you read that, I figured it felt.
They are having an open house.
They are.
Medevac is expected to
They
come
are.
in. I don't know when, but they are
And they're doing a
expected.
blood drive.
Well,
and-
here's what I can tell you is we're
It's on the Facebook
We're-
page, and
Yeah,
that
we're
I know.
continuously updating our Facebook page. I know that over the weekend, they added a couple more things to it, so, we will update it all on our Facebook page.
I think it starts at 10,
I
not?
think it's 10. It's May
Yeah.
Okay.
26th for sure.
Okay. I will report progress.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Committee reports, Public Works Committee Chairman Anders.
I have nothing for official action. I did want to report, I did meet with Shane and some Public Works employees regarding our I&I and water issues, and there's a plan being worked on to combat for the future. We worked with our engineer, correct, Shane?
Yeah, the engineer was at the meeting.
The engineer, and he went over part of the plan that he would be evaluating what we will be doing and how we will be doing it. So we did have that, even though we did not have a meeting. Our next meeting is June 11th at 3:30 p.m., and I'll report progress.
Thank you, Chairman Anders. Health, Sanitation, and Codes Committee Chairman Shipsta.
Yes, nothing for official action. We took care of the ordinances that are listed there. So our next meeting has been rescheduled, so it's May 23rd at 4:30 in council chambers. I report progress.
Thank you, Chairman Shipsta. We got Parks and Recreation Committee next, Chairwoman Baumgartner.
Nothing for official action. Our next meeting is June 5th at 4:30 p.m.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee Chairman Dufresne.
Okay, nothing for official action. Hopefully their Facebook site is correct. The ambulance open house is from 11 to 5.
11 to
Correct.
5.
As long as the Facebook is
No,
correct.
that's their poster there.
Okay, so May 26th from 11 to 5. Again, nothing for official action here. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 13th at 9:15 Progress.
Thank you. General Administration Committee is myself. We have the time clock policy that is on your iPad. The General Administration Committee met before tonight's meeting and recommended passing it to council. So would somebody like to make a motion to approve the time clock policy?
Resolution number.
Oh, sorry.
It's right here on your desk.
There is a resolution number for it. It's Resolution 2018-23. So would somebody like to make a motion to approve the resolution? Councilman Dufresne, second by Councilman Barrett. Questions or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. That is it for things we need to take action on. It says next meeting, May 24th, 9 a.m., but that is actually 12:30 p.m., correct?
Yes.
12:30. So we will be meeting this Thursday at 12:30 in council chambers.
Mr. Barrett, you'll be able to attend that?
Yeah, I responded.
Okay, the only reason I ask is because Mr. Dufresne will not be present. The developer from Wawa will be at that meeting. They have a couple things they want to speak about at that meeting. One of the questions they asked was about the left turn issue, which I had informed this council that I was emphatic that we opposed.
Yeah.
They want to hear from council members and not me. They think it's me speaking. I told them you can hear it for yourself. They want to talk about some site access things. They also want to talk about, I think, the walking trail piece that they're proposing with the sidewalks. I think they're trying to get some feedback maybe, so that way when they submit their official plans, they know some sentiment of what some of the council members are feeling. So I did tell them that they're more than welcome to come to the meeting, and we put them on the agenda. So they do plan on being there Thursday at 12:30. And that's a public meeting. One of the things that we said was we wanted to make sure that the public was notified of any and all public meetings we have with this developer. So that's the next meeting that we have with them. We haven't had any other correspondence with them. There's been no preliminary plan or anything like that, so we don't even know what their plans look like right now outside of, what we saw a couple months ago.
The zoning.
That's all I have for that.
All right, I'll report progress. Budget and Finance Committee, Chairman Barrett.
Yes, and I just lost my spot here as I clicked through.
Bill list.
I know, I just got to get back to it so I can actually read it. There we go. We have one item that requires official action. It is our bill list, Resolution 2018-22. I will place that in the form of a motion for approval.
There's a motion by Councilman Barrett. Is there a second? Councilman Dufresne? Questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
We have no other items. Progress.
Thank you, Chairman Barrett. Community Relations Planning and Development Committee, Chairwoman McManaman.
Nothing official for action. We did, however, start working on the borough website, so I did just want everyone to know that in case there are comments that people would like to share with us. Our next meeting is June 21st at 4:30. I report progress.
Thank you, Chairwoman McManaman. Under item 17, you have 4 different sets of minutes, keeping us updated on what's going on with the different commissions and boards. Personal appeals part 2. If anyone has another personal appeal, please approach the podium and sign in, state your name and where you're from. Hearing none. Borough Manager's report.
The significant revenue and expense items for the first half of May are in your iPads. Next is I hired Nicholas Chicatano as a business analyst intern to look at some of the emergency services analysis. In particular, we're going to be looking at some fire department things and some ambulance things to start off. This is a high-level intern position, quite honestly. He's way over the top, extremely smart. So I'm excited to see what kind of output he can give us. We're hiring him at $8 per hour. So this is something that we talked about last fall, as far as moving forward with. He's at the point now where the semester just ended. He's actually going to be starting on Wednesday. So.
And just as a brief comment, again, thank you for continually finding excellent interns. I mean, the stuff that we've gotten done at what I would call an intern rate, not a professional rate, but an intern rate, they've benefited, we've benefited. It's been excellent, though. But I mean, all of our I&I, the mapping, the GSI mapping, I mean, it's been phenomenal. We've had it done at a tenth of the cost to get it done. So.
Yeah, and we've gotten professional output for.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We
Yeah.
found interns, but they're doing it at
We
a
have
professional
saved
level.
literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in professional service work by doing it this way. So, and part of the key is really finding students that are qualified to do this thing. I mean, this student's graduate school from Villanova, and I really think that what we're going to get out of him is going to be excellent work, as we've gotten excellent work out of all of our interns so far. So I'm excited to see what kind of output we can get. The other thing is, and it's not on here, but you have a memorandum on your desk. We hired some lifeguards. Sebastian Orzel from Allentown, Addison Holtsafer from Emmaus, Taylor Lilly from Briningsville, Morgan Lilly from Briningsville, Francis Cinnamella from Allentown, and Tyre Prerl from Allentown, and they were all hired at a rate of $7.25 per hour.
Are we fully staffed now?
We're not.
Close?
We still need either anybody that's not in college. We need lifeguards. We actually did some testing over the weekend, and 3 out of the 4 failed. They have to swim 9 laps, and that knocked out 3 out of the 4. It's a different kind of athlete to pass that certification. That takes a lot of cardiovascular strength and stamina, but it's a standard. It's a standard examination process. So we would have been, I think, fully staffed if we would have been able to get all 4 of them through, but 3 out of the 4 did not pass the certification.
I understand 9 laps if it's Lake Nakamixon, but it's Emmaus Community Park.
No, it wasn't even that. I think it was like the high school swimming pool where it was nice and warm in there.
Okay.
I can understand they'd freeze to death if they slam 9 laps in our park right now, but
It's actually 12 laps.
it was 12?
12.
Okay, so most of them didn't get through 6. I can tell you that. After about 3, 2 of them were done.
Interesting.
The third one made it through 6, but it's not an easy exam, that's for sure.
So are any of these students able to stay once college starts? I mean, essentially, we're categorizing them that way. Are these high school students, or are they?
A couple of them are high school students.
Okay.
Yeah. I think 3 out of the 6 are high school.
Okay.
Right.
So.
But they could be adults that could swim.
Absolutely, as long as they're not in college, like that's the key. We actually have, one or two senior citizens that are thinking about doing it that are very physically fit. Our pool manager passed this exam. She is of retirement age, so but she's very physically fit. She was also just offered a job, but it's kind of a comedy story that I can't tell you in public, but she was offered a job for a lot more money, but it's at a nudist colony as the head lifeguard. But I can't tell you any more than that, but she kind of laughed.
I think that's enough.
But she's passed that exam, but she also prepared for it. Most of these students
Just tried to wing it.
are just think, I play lacrosse. I can do it, and it's a different kind of physicality to swim those laps. So, we'll see. But we do have 1 or 2 older people that are interested in doing it that she thinks can probably get through the process. So we'll see. Right now, we're still worried about the end of summer.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
I have nothing under president's business. Motion to adjourn. Councilman Barrett, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgartner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Meeting adjourned at 7:45. Thank you for everyone for coming out tonight.
It's just open now.